better than his Big Ten Freshman of the Year campaign last year.
He's been outstanding this season, Dom. He might be the best player on this Rutgers team, and they will need to give him shots he wants to see. He's the type of goaltender that can win a game for you.
It's a blackout at SHI Stadium, so Rutgers in the All Blacks hoping to derive another layer of juice for a team that plays so well in this home building and looking for what would be its first win ever against Maryland as Big Ten opponents. As Matt Pilato and the Scarlet Knights control it off the opening draw against Shea Keithler and the Maryland Terrapins to get us underway.
And Pilato, as good a face-off man as there is in college lacrosse, he will have to be big tonight. He has been big all season for the Scarlet Knights.
It has been raining on and off in Piscataway all day long, so the turf definitely soaked, and Rutgers has trouble getting it into their offensive end.
And that's big, Dom, because Rutgers has dominated possessions, face-offs, goaltending, clearing game. Not a good sign if you're the Scarlet Knights so far, but they can certainly overcome it here with their tenacious 10-man ride.
Now Rutgers in it. McNaney looking for the home run, and he doesn't hit it. But Daniel Kelly waiting there, and they'll say Rutgers wins the run out. Wow. Thought the fifth-year senior Daniel Kelly in the Terrapin red was closer to the line, but Rutgers will get the ball back.
I thought so too, but closest to it, when and where it goes out of bounds, they certainly had the angle, so fortunate call for Rutgers.
Two teams that have played some sloppy lacrosse in Big Ten play through 2 games, both 1-1 in the league. And maybe a fitting way to start off this evening to see both teams turn it over.
And the conditions might make it difficult on those sticks tonight, Dom, with the weather. Each player has to make sure their stick is taken care of.
Number 3 in the black, that's Hayden Summer, the redshirt freshman midfielder. 2 weeks ago, the conference's freshman of the week with a breakout performance against Hopkins.
And he has been outstanding, the speedster from Texas. He has been big time for Rutgers.
Now the guy that stirs the drink, Colin Cardilla, throws it up top. Nobody in particular home. And charging forward is Jack McDonald, the long stick midfielder, to corral it for the Terrapins.
And that delay from McDonald getting that clean ground ball because of the defense, he was up and out. Maryland makes you pay for mistakes, and that little bit of disruption gets us to the 6-on-6 instead of a goal for Maryland potentially.
Talking with both head coaches, Brian Brecht for Rutgers, John Tillman for Maryland, they said we've leaned on our defenses while our offenses with new personnel got their feet under them, and so that was definitely the case this year for Maryland. But this attack line has certainly blossomed lately. Eric Spanos, Braden Erkstra, and Daniel Kelly. Yeah,
they're one of the best attack lines nationally, and a positionless offense for Maryland.
And here's the midfielder, Bryce Ford, the Fairfield transfer, controlling. And now the Terrapins have Rutgers hung up. It's Spanos, the 6'5" attackman at X. Goes topside, shoots, and finds the posts. And the Terrapins get a fresh 60.
And Dom, that's a big missed ground ball by Rutgers, a tough situation.
Along the goal line, and there's the opening tally. Daniel Kelly gets it done.
And Dom, Maryland will make you pay when you give them extra opportunities. Now, this was a difficult ground ball for Rutgers to get off the rebound, but Maryland gets it a little bit unsettled. And Kelly one-times it in the back of the net. 1-0 Terps.
Well, if there is veteran leadership in that offense, it's coming from Daniel Kelly, the 5th-year senior. All 5 of his years he's played for his home state school. Born and raised in Towson, and the son of a lacrosse coach. Coming up on 100 career points in his Terrapin career, and that a big one to get the show started.
And he's been outstanding for the Terps. 45 in red, Kelly.
Well, that got jarred loose from the knees of one of Rutgers' short sticks. I think that was Dean Scalamandre. And the Scarlet Knights will keep it.
And Rutgers, a top 10 riding team in college lacrosse this season. When you don't win the face-off, the ride becomes an extension of the face-off at times, and Rutgers is able to get that.
The Rutgers back on offense. 11 goals for them in the 13-11 defeat at Ohio State. But they've focused on this starting unit, Colin Kelly operating from a midfield spot where Brian Brecht feels like they found something good going as Kelly stopped for the first time by McNaney.
And Dom, this Rutgers offense, they haven't had a lot of the pieces together going back to the fall. A lot of guys were in and out of the lineup throughout the entire year, so throughout the course of the season, it took time to gel, and they are starting to play some of their best lacrosse, and we saw it last week. That could have easily been a victory for Rutgers in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, the transition success is a big reason why Rutgers was in the game. And clearly McNaney and the Terrapins are not afraid to shoot at the open cage that they'll have against Rutgers Ride.
Now, and he has a history of breaking that 10-man ride as well.
Spanos working with Rutgers the captain on close defense. That's Tommy Mendyke. And around for Elijah Stobaugh, part of the second midfield line. Looking up top for Jack Schultz. He's a Jersey native, Ridgewood guy. And it stays with Stobaugh. Shot clock is at 25.
And Dom, this is a Maryland offense. They're so patient, and they wait for the perfect opportunity.
Schultz creates it for himself, but Stoller makes his first save. And this is where Rutgers wants to go.
And there's Stoller up and out. Potential transition opportunity here for Rutgers. 5-on-5.
And a shot from J.J. Aiello that whistles wide.
And Rutgers, they haven't been a NASCAR defense to offense type of team this year, but you see glimpses of it, and they will still try to be opportunistic, and they've got the players like 13 in black, Youngerkiss right here.
Youngerkiss named a captain before playing a game at Rutgers, a grad transfer from Princeton. He scored 7 goals for the rope unit. Rising shot goes bouncing wide.
And Dom, you mentioned Youngerkiss, really the perfect transfer for Rutgers. Goes from defense to offense as well as anyone nationally. Played for Jim Mitchell at Princeton, one of the best offensive minds in college lacrosse, so has familiarity with the Rutgers system.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
A 58% save percentage for Stoller, who wants to perform well in this game, coming off of statistically his worst game of the year. Less than 40% of the saves he made against Ohio State. It was a season-low 8 stops.
And Dom, if Rutgers wants to win tonight, they have to play complementary lacrosse in all 3 phases.
And still looking for their first success on offense. 4 shots, only 1 on target against McNaney. At the point, here's Cardilla. Scher for the shot. It doesn't get through from Summer. And Colin Zeller, the sophomore midi, will reset. A couple already that are knocked down before cage.
And Colin Cardilla, he's one of the knowns for Rutgers, gets a short stick. You see how quick?
Zeller, hands free and a goal.
And Colin Zeller, 50 in black, gets the party started for the Scarlet Knights. He's got a short stick matchup, rolls back, and then goes back again and lets it fly with his strong left hand, and it's 1-1.
For this Rutgers offense to be successful, everybody needs to chip in, and that's a good sign to see Zeller collect his 8th goal of the year. A confident dodge, too. Confident move to shake off the shorty.
Absolutely, and he gets that shot off right before the support for Maryland. And Zeller, still a young guy. This is such a young team, and you see the confidence that they're playing with, like you mentioned. A month ago, I'm not sure he's able to do that, but you see the maturity.
On offense, Rutgers starts 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores, plus a junior who has not played since his freshman year because of injury. A lot of youth over there, but the Scarlet Knights cash in for the first time, and Maryland back on offense as Stoller stonewall Stobaugh. And up and out quick. Rutgers wants to run. Here's Cardilla. Maryland recovers. Good look there for the Terps.
And that's great transition defense by Maryland. You see Youngerkiss has Schultz, an offensive midfielder, stuck.
Maryland trying to get the rest of its defensive personnel on, and that's what they'll do as Eric Kohler joins the party. Now you look back to that Ohio State game, Rutgers scored 6 of the 11 goals in transition. Half of those transition goals came from long stick midfielders. So not afraid of getting it from everybody.
Yeah, Ryan Splain, 17 for Rutgers, got involved. He has been outstanding as well. One of the best LSMs nationally.
And a native of Maryland. Here's Summer with the shot clock at 25. Colin Kelly sends it behind the cage. And Shane Murphy, typically the ex-attackman, rising and shooting wide. And still 14 on the timer. J.J. Aiello on the restart. With 7 seconds. Off the pick, Aiello again misses the target. And just 3 on the shot clock here, so you think Rutgers will dump it.
Looks like they're getting their defensive personnel on the field, and that's what you can do when you're a team that likes to ride. You can really, this late in the season, when everyone's got those tendencies on tape offensively, it can become really difficult to score in the settled sets. So you can create easier opportunities when you're a team that pressure rides.
Rutgers leads the Big Ten, the lowest opponent clearing percentage in the conference at 80%. Will Schaller's going to take a look. And I believe that's the 3rd from the opposite side of the field for the Terps. 0 for 3 so far.
Yeah, they've done a nice job on occasion.
Now, do you think John Tillman and the offensive coordinator Michael Phipps had them working on 90-yard shots in practice this week?
That's something I think every team works on at times, depending on the week, depending on the team, because of how many people are really effective at pressure riding in college lacrosse.
Yeah, all it takes is 1 or 2 to change a game. We know that in the Big Ten. In the final 5 minutes now with this opening quarter, a little sloppy. 6 combined turnovers, but a level score. Eric Spanos, who had a huge performance against Penn State, hat trick included. Now Matthew Keegan, transfer from Binghamton, and the timer comes up on 20. Ford, pass inside, Spanos. Man, that was a great look and couldn't cash in.
That was fantastic defense by Rutgers to make it as difficult as possible on Maryland.
Late in the timer, Urksa throwing over the top for Ford and missed him.
And Dom, they were sliding, recovering really well, sliding to the back of the helmet for Maryland, forcing them to get rid of it and contesting their opportunities and just making those windows super small.
This has been a highly efficient Maryland offense. Not yet today, just 1 for 8. And an opportunity for the Scarlet Knights to get their first lead of the evening. A lot behind this game for the Scarlet Knights. Of course, the ability to get to 2-1 in Big Ten play, grab their first win as conference foes against Maryland, but on their home turf on a blackout night, it adds an extra level of intensity for this team.
Absolutely.
Richmond, it squeaks in! We know Duke Richmond for his dodging, not his finishing. Don't tell him that. Rutgers leads.
And Duke Richmond comes off a pick, gets a step, gets his hands free, middle of the field, and he puts the Scarlet Knights up. Duke Richmond, a guy whose development has been key for this team. St. Joe's Montville in northern New Jersey, he has been tremendous the last couple weeks for the Scarlet Knights.
And you can see as soon as he takes on the defender, there's no chance. A guy who's basically his entire family ran track. Mom, dad, aunt all ran track in the SEC too. So a high level of college track and field, and he's got that burst ability in him. And use that to collect his first ever Big Ten goal. And after the Pilato wins the faceoff, Rutgers right back on offense.
And we've seen flashes of Richmond in the past, but now he's starting to put it together like a lot of these young players. And now you see the faceoff. You score a goal, you win the faceoff, you stack possessions.
Now what a weapon Matt Pilato has been. 61% at the dot, second best in the Big Ten. Kelly, jab, step, and score. Man, that guy throws howitzers at cages.
And Colin Kelly, 2 in black. He has been big for the Scarlet Knights. One of the most dangerous shots in the Big Ten. When he gets downhill like this, and he puts it on cage, opposite side on the left-hander, McNaney. Colin Kelly, absolute fire out of that stick.
Kelly is coming on strong lately. Had 3 points against Hopkins. Rutgers has put him in the starting lineup as a midfielder now 3 straight games. And it's worked out well.
And he's moving a lot better, Dom. You know, he's battled injuries in his 2 years here at Rutgers. And I think we're starting to see the player we thought he was going to be when he first arrived here on the banks.
Stoller, Stonewall, Spanos after their Jonah Carrier face-off win. So Rutgers the ball and a 2-goal lead against the number 2 Terrapins.
And in this conference, you know, you got to bring your A game.
Oh, we know that. What did John Tillman tell us this week? It's like the AFC North. If you're not ready to win a 10-7 rock fight, good luck.
Yeah, the Big Ten, one of the most competitive leagues in college lacrosse. Depending on the year, the best conference in college lacrosse.
Certainly staking its claim to that moniker again this year. About a 40-second difference between the shot and game clock, with the timer now at 30. And here's Summer. Feeds the middle, and Zeller dunks it home. These Scarlet Knights are playing with some energy tonight.
And Zeller, tremendous off-ball movement, but it's Summer with his head up, precision passing, and Zeller finds the back of the net. Hayden Summer, number 3 in black, he had that big game against Hopkins where he really asserted himself as an initiator. His strength is passing the ball, and he shows that off right there. So he's becoming super dynamic as you see the great finish by Zeller. He's one of the fastest players on the field, so if he can continue to show that he demands a defense to slide to him, he's such a good passer, he could really open up this offense.
Brian Breck said Summer just needed some time on the fields. Redshirted last year with injury. First season getting to play after a great career at Lacrosse Factory, the Culver Military Academy in the Midwest. And he's turned out to be a great find for the Scarlet Knights, who have the ball after the face-off violation by Carrier. Maryland scored the opening goal. Daniel Kelly put it past Stoller less than 5 minutes in. Since then, it's been all Rutgers.
And Rutgers will hold for the final shot here.
And it's Mongillo against Eric Kohler. Waits for the 15-second mark and goes. Mongillo couldn't get an opening, and Rutgers will keep it with 5 seconds.
And this is big, Dom, because you keep the ball away from Maryland, end of the quarter. Now you have a chance to face it off with Matt Pilato and dominate possessions even more.
Cardilla in the final moments with Schaller in front of him. Bouncing ball is in! Rutgers finishes a dominant first quarter with an exclamation mark from Colin Cardilla.
And Colin Cardilla gets to the middle of the field, no support from Maryland, and he blasts the back of the net. Scarlet Knights are rolling right now.
In this week's coaches poll, you take a look at the standings. It's Ohio State, the third-ranked Buckeyes at the top. They're 3-0 right now after their win earlier today against Johns Hopkins. In that middle, Rutgers and Maryland tied at 1-1. Big difference between a 2-1 record with the final 2 weeks ahead and a 1-2 record.
And Dom, as Rutgers takes time out, Dom, the late great Pete Medhurst once said to me, if you don't bring your A game in this conference, the Big Ten Lacrosse Conference, you could get beat from top to bottom. It's the most competitive conference in college lacrosse. Pete Medhurst, one of the great voices of Big Ten Lacrosse and DC sports. Our thoughts and prayers are with the DC sports community.
Amen. A guy that I got to work with, too, behind the scenes when he did a few of the Big Ten men's lacrosse broadcasts over the years. And he got to call a lot of games like this, where two great teams go toe-to-toe. And so far, Rutgers winning the battle. What's the conversation on the Maryland sideline now? Because the Terps have been in close games. They lost in triple overtime 2 weeks ago to Michigan. But what's gone wrong, and what can they diagnose after 15 minutes?
Maryland is the best team in college lacrosse at making in-game adjustments. There's a lot going on that iPad. Coach Tillman and his staff are tremendous at making in-game adjustments. So they have composure. They've been here before. If you're Rutgers, you got to keep playing. You got to continue, as Coach Schiano says, like you got to keep chopping. So you got to continue to do what you do and continue to keep the energy. And, you know, previous results and previous teams that have lost to Maryland have nothing to do with this 2025 version of Rutgers lacrosse.
And it was clear from our conversations with Brian Brecht that that's been the thought, right? The fact that Rutgers has never beaten Maryland as Big Ten opponents, that holds no bearing on how this game will go. And the Scarlet Knights have certainly played like that. So Rutgers uses its first of two first-half timeouts to save the possession there. And here's Colin Zeller with 2 first-half goals. Guy who hasn't scored much this year, but Maryland takes it right away. And there is Will Schaller playing like an All-American on cover defense. And the Terps, with some errant passing, are able to settle it down and get into the settles.
And Maryland is the best team at making you pay for your mistakes, so this is an important possession for Rutgers.
And Spanos has Mendyke hung up. And pass to the point goes over Ford's head, and Whittier emerges with it. That's a fortunate break for the Terps, who still have half the shot clock left. 3 saves in the opening 15 minutes for Cardin Stoller, who's had double digits in every game but Rutgers' last outing against Ohio State.
You see Spanos with the short stick. In younger kiss, they'll be quick to support. The Rutgers defense will be.
Yeah, quick slide from Ben McKelvey to force it away. Shot clock under 20. Here's Matthew Keegan for Bryce Ford. Beats the short stick, and Stoller stops him.
And Stoller has been outstanding so far in this game. And Maryland getting to the middle of the field, but pretty far distance. Rutgers defense giving Stoller shots he wants to see.
Now, something about this Maryland offense different from maybe years past. There is no obvious number one. You know, we've seen Eric Spanos emerge over the last couple of weeks. Braden Urksa has led them in points the last 2 years. But there's no C.J. Kirst, let's say, for Maryland. Some good, some bad that comes out of that.
And that is the scary thing about Maryland, because they move that ball and they are the sum of their parts.
Rutgers on the other side finding success with their 6 so far, as Kelly is fended off by Colin Burlace. Good disruptive defense from the senior from Edgewater, Maryland. So reset with 25 to shoot. Summer. And Rutgers will reset with 20 ticks left.
And we'll see what Rutgers does here with this situation. But you got to give offensive coordinator Eric Serriman a ton of credit for the resurgence of this offense. He's gotten this unit a lot better throughout the course of the season, one of the best in the business.
Summer, pass into the middle. Murphy was in the area. And it comes bouncing out for Jack McDonald to corral. And Rutgers right back into that 10-man ride. Kohler. Dump it off. As Stoller retreats into cage finally, but he waits a while before getting back between the pipes.
Yeah, Rutgers is opportunistic in the riding game, but Maryland doing what they need to do in the clearing game against 10-man ride, a typical strategy. You get the ball inside, the defense collapses on you, and then you get it outside. And Maryland does that right there.
Maryland has not scored in more than 15 minutes now. It was a little at the 11:52 mark in the first quarter, where Kelly scored off the Whittier pass. Jack Schultz, the freshman from Jersey, trying to change that with a shot clock under 30. Gets topside. The two defenders run into each other, but can't get an opening. Urksa around Ben Stefanos and the slide. 10 seconds now. Skipping the step for Aiden Aiken, who's got 5 seconds. I don't know that he realizes. Aiken around the world. Contact away from the ball. That's going to send this the other way.
And that was an outstanding defensive possession by the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Sliding, perfect timing when they supported, and then their recoveries were excellent to get set up.
Ooh, a spill out in the middle of the field. That was TJ Conley, the short stick midfielder who lost his footing. And that's the reason why Rutgers fails the clear. Told you, it's not the nicest night in New Jersey. Certainly doesn't feel like the spring weather that this Garden State has seen over the last few days. 45, rainy, as McNaney rains one from the other side of the fields. But a slick turf tonight. And that's shown up a few times. "11 shots, just 1 goal so far for Maryland." That is a percentage, a ratio that we have not seen from them at all this year. Eric Spanos trying to change it, but missed his mark.
And Maryland hasn't scored a ton of goals this season, if you look at the rankings of nationally, but they are as dangerous an offense as you can get in college lacrosse. So credit the Rutgers defense for how they've played tonight so far.
Yeah, it's complementary lacrosse, as we've heard some Terps refer to it. This defense that ranks second in the nation has made the offense stand up as enough. Another hung up opportunity. Forward passes. Did it cross the goal line? Yes, it did. And that is a big one for the Maryland Terrapins. Zach Whittier providing the ice-breaking goal.
And he finds Whittier, and he beats Stoller, and those hang-up situations where an attackman or midfielder, offensive player, is behind the cage and no one's on his hands. Yes, it's 6-on-5 in front of the goal, but you have one of your best passers behind the goal with all day to throw. And it is so hard to play defense like that for an extended period of time, even if you have an extra man. It's like trying to play corner when a quarterback has no pass rush.
Matt Pilato guilty of a trip on Shea Keithler. So the Terrapins, after the goal, get a win at the dot and an opportunity to build some momentum that they have not had.
And this Maryland team, when it rains, it pours. They can get going, so Rutgers needs to make a play here to stop the momentum.
Yeah, we saw that from Maryland's last time out. Penn State scored first on the Terrapins senior day, and then Maryland's rained in goals before halftime. Led 7-2 at the break. Got him hung up again. This time it's Urksa.
Yes, there's a shot clock, and you have 6-on-5, but it's difficult in those situations.
Backing down Stefanos and shoots by. Urksa and the Terps, who have had those opportunities, have been very patient. I feel like sometimes you see attackmen have the urge to force it, not wait behind the cage too long, especially early in a shot clock where Urksa could do that.
And Rutgers seems very content to let them do that, so we'll see how that situation evolves if Maryland continues to have success, if Rutgers makes any adjustments.
Whittier restarts, 25 to shoot. Keegan with the short stick, Younger kiss. 15 seconds. Can't shake his defender. Younger kiss had him locked up. There's their first penalty. Kelly, end of the timer. Stoller stops it, but Maryland will go a man up. And a great job by Maryland forcing that penalty.
And Maryland will go EMO. This is a dangerous unit. You got to be careful when you're playing the Maryland Terrapins. They will make you pay for mistakes in transition and in the extra man situations.
So that's a 30-second penalty against Joe Youngerkiss and gives the first opportunity to a Maryland's power play unit that's effective 44% of the time. Good for second best in the Big Ten. The guy to watch is Spanos, big number 7. He scored 3 of their EMO goals. There he is. Feeds the middle, but off target from Elliot Dubik, the junior attackman.
Great job by Mendyke, 28 in black, to clamp down on the crease. Force an errant shot up there for Maryland.
Final seconds come off the penalty. Spanos. And the ball stops with Urksa. They'll get back to 6-on-6.
And great job by Rutgers with the penalty kill.
15 to shoot for Urksa as Maryland tries to get on a run. Great first step by Ford, but Stoller denies him. Boy, he's seen the ball great in this first half.
Carden Stoller standing on his head. And the Scarlet Knights needed that one as Maryland had a very high quality scoring opportunity there.
Rutgers keeping Maryland out of cage, but this has been one long defensive possession. Going on, 3 minutes now. And third tries the charm. Braden Urksa scores. Maryland back within 2.
And Urksa 10 in red. One of the most dynamic players you'll see. He's got a short stick matchup in Machika, gets underneath. Support isn't in time, and he finishes, and he gets it past Stoller.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
It's been a great first half for Stoller. 8 saves and just 3 goals allowed. Rising to the occasion once again against his home state school. Native of Owings Mills, Maryland. Here's Elijah Stovall. Jump shot from Urksa. Stoller got that one too. What can't he save?
And Carden Stoller continues to stand on his head and give Rutgers opportunities, but they keep giving Maryland extra opportunities as well.
Yeah, everybody saw J.J. Aiello wide open along the boundary, but instead it goes as Rutgers' 8th turnover. That's a big hit. No flags fly as Zach Gorno got hit up high. Another aim at the opposite goal. And the run out again controlled by Kelly. No, they'll say Stoller was closer to the spot.
Possession awarded to the team closest to it. When and where it goes out of bounds, Stoller wins the race to the end line.
Some of those calls, though, they're like trying to determine where a punt flies out of play, right?
Yeah,
you're just taking your best guess.
It's difficult at times, so shout out to the officials for doing a nice job on that one. Might have been a makeup call from the other one, honestly.
Hey, Rutgers will take it. They have not scored in this second quarter, but still lead the number 2 team in the country by a pair. And timeout's not good at halftime, so Brian Brecht will take his before taking his team to the locker room. Rutgers leading Maryland 5-3. All 5 Scarlet Knight goals have come in a settled 6-on-6. And Alex, we were talking earlier in this broadcast about how Rutgers has found so much success in transition in Big Ten play. What have they done in 6-on-6 that's worked so well tonight?
Dom, they've just been winning their matchups one-on-one, and when Maryland has supported, they have taken advantage of the opportunities inside with precision passing and finishing. Rutgers has generated those types of opportunities all season, but they haven't finished. Statistically, not one of the better shooting teams in college lacrosse, but tonight they are executing and finishing at a high level.
Now, bottom of the conference in shooting percentage, 24%. But tonight, 5 of 15. And the Scarlet Knights control out of the timeout. The shot and game clock separated by a little more than 20 seconds. So Rutgers can't quite hold for one. They give it to Hayden Summer, who's provided the only assists tonight. 4 of the goals have been unassisted. And rises above GLE, gives to Colin Kelly, trying to bruise his way through the defense. Now to Aiello with 10 seconds. Cardilla, 1v1 against Schaller. Feeds the middle, and Murphy saves. Big stop there for McNaney in what's been a rocky first half. And a quick outlet. Time for the Terps. Looking for the cage. There's McDonald. He threw it back for Kohler. Now it's Maryland's calling timeout with one more still to use for John Tillman.
And Dom, 14 seconds left in this second quarter, but this is a big 14 seconds. Maryland has always, when they're down, they always chip away at the end of the first half. They make their adjustments, and then they take off in the second half at times.
But if Maryland scores here, you're not feeling so bad about this first half. Only down 1. And Eric Spanos will restart it. Gets the screen from Ford. He gets run over. Share it, shot, and it bounces wide from Keegan with 5 seconds left. And they got an open look. Hands-free look for Keegan, who was the America East leader in goals at Binghamton 2 years ago. Still 5 ticks. Urksa, quick restart. Go to the hole, share, and it's knocked out of Ford's stick. One more defensive stand for Rutgers to lead the Scarlet Knights into halftime.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Any team that fails to clear it has to redefend.
Tommy Mendyke tips that pass, forcing the reset. Second liner, Aiden Aiken up top. Who will be the guy to really create some momentum for Maryland's offense? Here's Aiken, looks at the shot clock. He's got 7 seconds left. Working on the short stick, Scalamandre, who gets the slide. Mendyke jars it free, and that's a violation. And a hold for a tired Rutgers defense that you figure will only get more exhausted.
And they have been awesome so far tonight. And the situations they have been so far tonight, they have risen to the occasion, risen to the level of their training. This defense has played really well tonight.
Mendyke carrying towards midfield. Rutgers with 2 failed clears already, but that will not be one of them.
If you're Rutgers, you got to use the whole 80 here as your defense. Over a 60-minute game, you can't expect them to redefend all the time and stop this Maryland offense like they have.
Aiello stopped again by McNaney. 5 saves now for the 6th-year senior in cage as he starts the break. Arkin shares, and they'll pull it back. Daniel Kelly directing traffic, and we'll get it to settled 6-on-6. McNaney now 3 saves away from the record.
And Maryland made Penn State pay a week ago in those situations. Rutgers has been great in transition defense tonight.
Yeah, every goal we've seen today from both teams has been in the half court. So nobody yet to claim an edge in the middle of the field.
And Rutgers has had 7. I'm not sure why Cardilla ran off. You have a free slide. The penalty is free possession. Rutgers 7 players on the field defensively. Maryland will go 30 seconds.
Yeah, good catch. That flag is way out by midfield. So Rutgers will go a player down for the 3rd time.
In those situations, you got to you have a free slide, you're going to get the penalty regardless, so play 7-on-6. And that's just another mistake by Rutgers that's given Maryland another opportunity. But the defense is legit, but it's unrealistic to expect them to continue to produce at this level, but they are built for this.
It's cover defenders in front of Card and Stoller, at least a few of them that are familiar. Ben McKelvey and Tommy Mendyke back for 2nd years as starters. Ben Stefanos, the transfer from UMBC, has slotted seamlessly into this group. And the penalty served by TJ Conley, just the 32nd, as you mentioned, Alex. 10 seconds left on it. Spin it around. Spanos for Urksa. Spanos looking. 1 second. We're at even strength. And Maryland doesn't get a shot, and the pass for Urksa is too low to handle.
And Dom, when you go from 6-on-5 to 6-on-6, those situations, that moment where you match up, those are the danger zones for a defense. Urza open, Maryland not able to connect, Rutgers comes up big.
The difference now in this third quarter, Rutgers has had some possessions. Logan McNaney has so far played like the goalkeeper we know, the guy who in 2022 was the NCAA tournament most outstanding player.
Yeah, Logan McNaney returning to form not only this season, but so far in this third quarter. Rutgers is going to have to really continue to challenge him like they did in the first quarter. And this Maryland defense so good at being aggressive, not fouling, and also taking away your strengths.
Goes below GLE for Casey Mongillo, second midfield line on for the Scarlet Knights. Mongillo matched up with George Stamos, the defensive midfielder. Now Justin Lawler gets the slide, hands free, and he finds a crossbar. Sort of inconsistent production from the midfield line throughout the year for Rutgers, but they've been successful in at least getting good looks today.
And they've done a better job the last couple weeks in the midfield.
Through the grinder, Mongillo is stripped. Eric Kohler emerges with it.
And Maryland 6-on-5 here.
Behind the trailer, McDonald's. And the LSM will pull it back.
And Dom, we can't say it enough because Rutgers has put themselves in those situations in transition defense. But Maryland hasn't gotten a transition goal, but they've had too many opportunities.
And we have not seen a goal in nearly 15 minutes. Two of the nation's top 15 defenses proving to be exactly that. Whittier shares, Kelly, that was a good look, low to low. But the fifth-year senior has not had it dialed in since that game-opening goal way back when. Send it up top for Keegan with 25 seconds to run with. Bumps Splain off the spot. Here's Kelly through defenders. Stoller stops it. Another momentum save for Cardin Stoller, and Rutgers off to the races with Joe Youngerkiss.
Outstanding effort by Stoller. Stoller stonewalls Maryland right there. And Rutgers will go 6-on-6. And they're starting to look like that team from defense to offense the last couple weeks. So can they get a couple to make a difference?
And a battle of two highlight goalkeepers, Cardin Stoller rising to the occasion. But can Rutgers turn this into something? Defensive midfielder Dean Scalamandre stayed on for a moment, and he'll sprint off now to get the offense on.
And you see Youngerkiss and Scalamandre staying on against Maryland offensive personnel. That's the old school NASCAR type of attacking that you've seen from Rutgers. So we'll see how those situations develop.
Colin Zeller for Hayden Summer. Maryland's guarding Colin Cardilla anywhere he goes on the field tonight. And there's the early slide with a third one coming. Late in the shot clock, 7 seconds. Shane Murphy with 3. And this is a violation. Murphy had no clue.
Interesting to see here.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Want to do whatever it takes to get the win. Hold your team, hold the opposing team to one less goal than your offense scores. So whatever it takes is the mindset for Rutgers tonight defensively.
Yeah, simple as that, right?
Whatever it takes. If it's 1-0, it's 1-0. If it's 5-3, it's 5-3. That's the mindset of this defense.
Now the defenses are winning the night tonight, that's for sure, on a rainy, cool evening in Piscataway. Two teams at 1-1 in the Big Ten. but a lot more than just a winning conference record on the line between Rutgers and number 2 Maryland. As we near the final 2 minutes of this third quarter, Colin Cardilla comes off the screen, and Will Schaller tracks him the whole way. Here's Hayden Summer looking for the middle. The pass works out, and it's scored! J.J. Aiello was not the intended target, but he'll take it.
And the freshman, J.J. Aiello, Agent Zero. Summer comes off the pick with the feed. And Aiello, right place, right time. He delivers for the Scarlet Knights. Big time play by the freshman Aiello. His development's been huge. High school career as a midfielder, has gotten comfortable as an attackman, and no goal bigger than that one right there for Zero.
It's Rutgers' first goal in 28 minutes, and it comes from J.J. Aiello, the second of his Big Ten career. Now a clean win for Carrier. Shares for Spanos, and there's the answer. Big number 7 is on the board for Maryland. What a response.
And Spanos, 7 in red. Fast break off the face-off for Maryland. Face dodge, gets to a dangerous spot. He buries it on Stoller. Maryland with the answer, as you mentioned, Dom. Rutgers typically dominant at the face-off X. Not used to getting it pushed forward, as Matt Pilato is one of the best in the business, so a rare situation for Rutgers.
18th goal of the season for Eric Spanos. That leads Maryland. The returning All-American who's had an even better senior year. And first career point for Jonah Carrier, the freshman face-off guy. As Pilato wins the draw, and even after the procedure call, that is the result. Rutgers possession. Maryland led 1-0. Daniel Kelly scored a little more than 3 minutes into the game. Rutgers rattled off 5 straight goals to end the first quarter, and the Terps have not been back within a goal since. They've gotten it to a difference of 2 a few times. But Rutgers trying to fend off the number 2 team in the land. Colin Cardilla tracks down that loose ball and puts it in Colin Kelly's stick. Kelly, that's a moving screen. Cardilla wanted to set the screen but didn't want to hold it firm.
And that's a big call because Colin Kelly downhill, hands free. That's dangerous if you're Maryland. So you got to have your feet set when you set a pick. There's a fine line between a great pick and a moving pick where you set your feet at the last possible second of contact. But Rutgers on the other end of that call.
And now Maryland can hold for the final chance of the third quarter. And Jack Schultz, the former New Jersey Player of the Year from Ridgewood High School, settles it down.
Schultz outstanding at Ridgewood. Player of the Year, as you mentioned. Tremendous career for Coach Mike Pounds, one of the best in the business over at Ridgewood High School.
Spanos does that goal a moment ago get him going. Mendyke jars it free, but Aiken corrals it again. 20 seconds. Schultz bullying his way in. Pass for Urksa that squeaks over the line. Maryland is back within 1.
And the Terps climb within 1 in this game. And Urksa comes from behind the cage. Schultz draws the attention. And Urksa up the hash marks. And he finishes for Maryland. Schultz so dangerous. He draws that attention, a freshman. So it's impressive that he has their respect of this Rutgers defense. But Urksa, when you're behind the cage, you can kind of play that cat and mouse game because defenders will typically want to play 6-on-5 in front of the goal. So you can take advantage and put a defense in conflict if you move really well. He does that right there, comes up the hash marks.
Procedure call against Rutgers, so Maryland ball with 9 seconds left in the third quarter. Even though it was a Rutgers player that ended up on the deck, yeah, and I think the officials will get that call right. So 9 seconds remaining if Rutgers wants something at the end of the period. Summer for Kelly, thinking about it, and McNaney makes the save. That is the Maryland all-time save record tying save for Logan McNaney. Feels like there's a few more stops left in McNaney's cross before this night is over, because you know a Maryland team that's as battle-tested as them, one of the toughest schedules in America, is not done.
A lot like Stoller, McNaney has gotten better throughout the course of this game, and that's been a trend for McNaney. He gets better and stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, we know he is a highlight goalkeeper. You think about his success in the 2022 title game against Cornell, what he did against Notre Dame this year in the national championship rematch, that kick save at the end to win it.
He is a big-time goaltender, a big-game goaltender, plays his best in the biggest moments. Right now in this fourth quarter, it'll be another test for him and Carden Stoller.
And we'll see if his offense can tie the game after the Keetler face-off win. As Zach Whittier takes it behind the cage, and Spanos keeps it moving for Urksa, who likes to operate from X. Against the short stick, Scalamandre. And McKelvey, the pole, switches over. Keegan now against this Rutgers defense that has been on the field for so long. If we kept time of possession in Lacrosse, it would be tilted heavily in Maryland's favor.
And they're going to have to go the distance tonight. And they've been outstanding.
Ford. Stoller wanted that one. Dangerous pass to get it behind. Stoller got it anyway. Robs Matthew Keegan of a game tire.
And Stoller on cue, as we mentioned earlier. As good a goaltender as there is, not just in this conference, but nationally. Coming up big for the Scarlet Knights. And last week, not his best performance against Ohio State, but you can't expect him to play out of his mind all the time, just almost all the time.
Right. Yeah, he is out of his mind tonight. 12 saves, 5 goals allowed. He was solid last year, too, when Rutgers took on Maryland's down in College Park, which was a 5-goal Terrapin win. Maryland pulled away late in that game. But Carden Stoller, better than 50%. He had 14 saves. His offense has mustered just 1 goal after a gangbusters first quarter that saw the Scarlet Knights score 5.
And this offense has grown throughout the season, and they're playing better in Big Ten play. Can they play well enough to win in this fourth quarter?
Aiello, he scored that lone third quarter goal. Shane Murphy brings in the tall pass. Rutgers resets with 7 to shoot. Aiello forcing his way through 3. He's snuffed out. And here comes Maryland striving ahead with a long stick midfielder, A.J. Larkin.
And Larkin pushes the pace, but again, Maryland, they made Penn State pay last week. Rutgers has not paid for their mistakes because of the transition defense.
Yeah, just 1 transition goal in this game. It was that Spanos goal back in the third.
And that was off the face-off.
Right. Yeah, that was the only time defenses were not settled and a team scored. Maryland team that lost its Big Ten opener 2 weeks ago. Triple OT, a saga at home against Michigan, and bounced back with a dominant win against Penn State on Senior Day last weekend. It's 13-8. Trying to string conference wins together after an 8-0 start to the year. Urksa shakes off Stefanos. And now Schultz trying to spin it around the LSM, Kyle Worsnup. Ford, skip pass, but nobody's there. And that is the 9th Maryland turnover of the evening.
And just another example, Dom, these Rutgers defenders, they're all over the Maryland offensive players. Nothing has been easy for the Terps.
we've known that Maryland does not have the same offensive firepower of years past, but they still have guys. There are still all Big Ten and All-American players across their first attack and midfield lines, and they have been neutralized tonight.
Talent-wise, this is as good an offensive unit as you'll see. I mean, when you look at how they play together, part of the numbers, I think, is their schedule that they play, but talent-wise, these guys are legit.
Yeah, for a point, one of the toughest schedules in the country, and already 4 wins against top 7 RPI teams, as that one is turned away by Logan McNaney, and there it is. McNaney gets a cross on it, and the Terrapins now have a new all-time saves leader.
And no save bigger than that one in this game, with a chance to go down and even it. As Rutgers had a player, Duke Richmond, playing without a stick, runs off the field, brief 6-on-5 situation for Maryland, but Rutgers defense will get them to this settled set, which is where they want to be.
At least initially, they'll say that shot was blocked by Duke Richmond. So awaiting history still for Maryland. And awaiting a tie, Bryce Ford had a great look at it. Just missing target, missing the 6x6.
Well, against Cardin Stoller, there's not a lot to look at.
Urksa. And Spano settles with 35 seconds to shoot. Keegan backing down on Splain. Who from the Terrapins can win their matchup? Whittier, 10 seconds. Knifing inside, and he's stripped. Recovered to the points, and Stoller saves it.
And what a save by Stoller. Nearly throws the home run ball to Splain, but wisely sets up the clear. Cardin Stoller is playing as well as any goaltender I've seen this season.
And Stoller is having more success than any goalkeeper has had against Maryland's offense this year. 8.5 minutes to play in this Big Ten game where Rutgers has number 2 Maryland on the ropes. The Scarlet Knights have not beaten Maryland since 1980. Maryland is 37-1 against the Scarlet Knights.
And Dom, as good as the defense has played, this offense is going to have to make a play in this fourth quarter.
Richmond out of the box and shoots wide.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in the action.
Something brewing perhaps here in Piscataway, New Jersey, where Rutgers has Maryland on upset alert, 6-5 with 4:45 to play. Rutgers defense, backstopped by Cardin Stoller, is putting in its best effort of the year.
Cardin Stoller, a huge reason for why Rutgers is in the position they are right now. But let's also credit the defense in front of him. We've done it a ton tonight, and we can't do it enough. This is one of the best defensive performances you'll see. And let's not take anything away from Maryland, also a top defensive unit as well, one of the top nationally. But the situations that Rutgers has been in defensively that they've gotten out of has been really impressive.
Yeah, like the one you just saw, where Rutgers had some offensive personnel stuck on the field and still came out of it unscathed. Protecting a 6-5 lead that has held up for the entirety of this fourth quarter. Another long stretch without scoring. Braden Urksa made it 6-5 Rutgers, cut it to a 1-goal deficit with 16 seconds left in the third. We have not seen somebody hit the back of the net since. And Rutgers with the ball out of the timeout.
This is like old school college lacrosse. Keep it in, no shot clock.
Bouncing shot, and Colin Zeller slots it home. Insurance for the Scarlet Knights.
And Zeller has been big time tonight. The Philly kid from the Haverford School delivers for the Scarlet Knights, and it's the passing ability of Summer, precision. Scarlet Knights up 2, and you see the pass to Zeller. He doesn't have a ton of time because the Maryland defense is all over him. It's got to be in and out of his stick, no cradles, lets the ball bring his stick head back, and he fires so quick and gets it past McNaney.
The sophomore the sophomore Colin Zeller picked one heck of a time to have his first career hat trick. 3 goals, 4 shots. All the Collins and Carden have been stepping up tonight for Rutgers, that's for sure. As we get a brawl after the face-off, and Spanos has got it for Maryland, down 2, under 4 to go.
And you got to think of the pace of this game if you're Maryland. If you're gonna make a dent and in this lead and tie it up, it's got to come on this possession in terms of getting that first goal within 1.
Urksa. He loses possession. A swarm of black jerseys were first on the scene, but Whittier shuffles it towards the corner. And I think that's last touch Maryland. Yeah, Whittier knocked that out. The referees converge and get the call right. Rutgers ball.
And Stefanos, transfer from UMBC, a Maryland kid, get the turnover.
Go. Rutgers leading 7-5. It's already failed 3 clears tonight, and Maryland had time to talk it over there. That was a Maryland timeout.
Maryland's in a 10-man ride, so they're going to try to.
Stoller looking across the field and scores! Carden Stoller dropped the mic.
And Maryland in a 10-man ride, and Stoller throws a touchdown pass for the potential victory for the Scarlet Knights. Carden Stoller's been the best player on the field tonight, and an explanation point for Rutgers right now.
Is it the knockout punch from the Maryland native Carden Stoller? 80 yards. His second goal of the season.
Saw him do that earlier this year, as you mentioned, Dom, and no goal bigger than that.
After a full night of Rutgers in the 10-man ride, Maryland is forced into it down 2 late, and Carden Stoller steps into it like a confident quarterback. Bounced it right through the middle, too. There was no tucking it bar down or anything. That was straight in. And Rutgers leads 8-5. 2:40 to go, and how can Maryland compose itself after that? As Ford rolls to the hole, and Younger Kiss emerges with possession. Stoller back on the ball, 2:30 to play. Carden Stoller quite literally has done it all tonight for Rutgers in this upset bid. 10-man ride some more for the Scarlet Knights. McNaney's got to retreat to the cage, and now Rutgers is playing keep away. 55 seconds on the shot clock, so they could wind this down to about the 120, 110 mark if they don't lose possession. And boy, Maryland's trying like heck to jar it free.
And Rutgers should be able to get this into an easy situation in terms of clock. But they got to continue to be smart, even with this lead.
Logan Peters is stuck, 2 Terrapins around him, and Maryland has the ball with Eric Kohler, but he stumbles. It's on the deck again, and there's Will Schaller stepping in. Maryland needs to score under 100 seconds. A.J. Larkin, the LSM. Maryland needs offensive personnel, and they'll take their final timeout with 1:29 to go. Carden Stoller with the shot heard around this Scarlet Knight Stadium.
Latin school, to Rutgers, not a typical destination. So credit Coach Brecht and his coaching staff for really putting on the clamps on his recruiting process and getting him to Rutgers because he is special.
All right, Maryland the ball, but they need 3 goals in a flash. The Terrapins have not scored in this fourth quarter. Grinding towards Cage, there's Matthew Keegan bouncing it wide. Spanos gets one back. And with 1:06 to play, we're not done yet.
And this is where the face-off is going to be huge, Dom. Matt Pilato has been around 50% tonight. So can he get the big face-off here so Rutgers can run out this clock?
Spanos' second goal. It's Maryland's first in nearly 15 minutes. And things have been fairly even tonight at the dot. The Terps have the slight edge, 9-7. And it's Carrier and Pilato matched up. And Carrier off the draw, shares for Spanos, right to the cup, and Stoller turns him away. Rutgers ball under a minute to go as Carden Stoller stands on his head.
And he's been the difference tonight, Dom. Maryland's had a ton of opportunities in transition, and Stoller shuts the door.
Younger Kiss loses the lumber. Maryland causes the turnover. Looking for something quick. Zach Giorno ahead. Stoller with another save. Carden Stoller is playing out of his mind. 20 seconds. Aiello, keep away. And Rutgers will get the job done tonight in Jersey. Timeout called, 14 seconds left. Carden Stoller making every single stop down the stretch. And his Scarlet Knights have the ball. Colin Zeller fittingly will restart his first career hat trick coming against the number 2 team in the country. 5 seconds left. It's a night Rutgers will remember for a long, long time. Because for the first time ever, the Scarlet Knights have stunned the number 2 Terps in Big Ten action.